Is it possible for them to, in time, actually appear in another dimension or another reality or another universe where the world is absolutely different? But theoretically, that's the desire here, to create a changing of consciousness collectively.
Hello and welcome to the Pacific Channel. I'm your host, Steve Doherty. In this audio clip, a smart young man named Samuel, who is part of Dr. Joe Dispenza's youth group in London last year, asked Dr. Joe a very interesting and deep question. Something doesn't quite make sense to Samuel about Dr. Joe's teaching, so that's why he asked this question. He will ask the question by starting with a statement. He's going to say and then ask, "We know through the changing boxes teaching," which is a process that Dr. Joe teaches, "that we can choose to be in a reality where, for example, there is peace and no war. But with Project Coherence, which is also something that Dr. Joe teaches, we focus on raising the frequency of the planet as a collective. But why do we even need the collective? An individual could just tune into another dimension and focus on living that experience there. In other words, why do we even need the collective if we can go to alternative dimensions ourselves?" And here's the next logical question that wasn't asked. If that is true, then what's the point of trying to raise the vibration of the planet? Why do it if you can just raise your own vibration and enter into the dimension you want? Samuel's question got me to really think. To help you come up with your own answer before we hear Dr. Joe's answer, I'd like to ask you some additional questions. How do you think that the law of attraction teachings play into this question? What part of that understanding would help here? To be honest, even though Dr. Joe answers the question, he doesn't really answer the question, if you know what I mean. He doesn't want to dismiss the action of meditating to help raise the frequency of the planet because that seems like, or is, a very good altruistic thing to do. He doesn't want to say that it's not necessary. But Samuel's question brings up the good point that it doesn't quite make sense. One of the things that the law of attraction teacher Abraham says on this matter is to not worry about others' reality, which would include the collective, which could be a small group or all humans. Even collectives are on their own vibrational journey. The best thing that you can do for others is to vibrate high yourself. When we worry about others, even if it is a group of people, we lower our own vibration. But let's let Dr. Joe answer this question and then we'll discuss it further afterward.
I'm your host, Dr. Joe Dispenza. Let's begin.
Thank you, Adam. Hi, Dr. Joe. We have a very nice question today from Samuel from Austria. He was part of your youth group in London last year, and he wrote us that he thanks you very much for helping him to open his heart there. And his question is, my question is about the connection between the changing boxes teaching and Project Coherence. If we became really good at changing boxes, we could not only draw our body into a new dimension where in regard to the old dimension, only little things changed, but theoretically, we could also draw our body to a dimension where the world would be looking much different. For example, where there would be peace and no wars. However, with Project Coherence, we focus on raising the frequency of the planet as a collective. But why do we even need the collective? An individual could just tune into another dimension and then focus on living and experiencing it. Or does changing boxes only work for global events when the collective as a whole moves to another dimension? How does this all fit together? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Don't you love the questions from our youth? They're so well thought out. The questions that I go to the youth get-togethers at the week-long events because I love their questions. They're so well thought out and they're so practical. So there is an agreed upon reality that we all participate in collectively. And then there's our individual reality, which is the life that we personally live. And there's a bridge between those two. One influences the other, but there's a bridge between them. We use the changing boxes technique as a way to realize that you're facing some problem or challenge from a certain level of consciousness or unconsciousness. In order for you to change it, you're going to have to go to a greater level of consciousness, which means you can't think and feel about it the same way. Because as long as you think about it the same way based on memories of that problem and feel the same emotions based on the chemical experience of those problems, for the most part, you're in the same state of being, you're in the same energy, and nothing's going to change because you haven't changed. If those emotions are strong enough for you to assign most of your attention to that person, that problem, that condition in your life, where you place your attention is where you place your energy. Your energy is actually contributing to that reality that seems like there's no door out of. So for the individual to, we teach the changing boxes meditation towards the end of the week, because people have the understanding of the difference between space-time and time-space, and they have the understanding of the multiverse, and they understand that there's infinite potentials. Now, when a person is in three-dimensional reality and they're thinking about that problem, the thought of that problem produces the feeling that's associated with it. It makes them unhappy, it makes them fearful, it makes them angry. That's because they're thinking about it in the past. They're remembering it from the past. When a person can become nobody, no one, no thing, nowhere, and no time, and they can disinvest all of their attention, which means all of their energy of this three-dimensional world, they have no attention on their body, their environment, and time, they pass through the eye of the needle as pure consciousness, and everything changes when you move out of space-time. If there is no space, if you only have space by a separation between two things. If there's no space because there's no things, then there's no time, and everything's connected in this realm, and all possibilities exist. And the possibility, the thought of a reality where that problem doesn't exist, produces the feeling for this time of the relief of not having it, the freedom of not having it, because in the realm of the quantum, every thought has a frequency. So the frequency of that thought tends to be the relief of that problem. If you ask the person to do that in three-dimensional reality, the thought of the problem being resolved would produce the feeling of, yeah, sure, that'll never happen. But in the realm of the quantum, the thought is the frequency. It's emitting a frequency. So when the person does that there, if they can feel the feeling of what it would be like in that future, just like they feel the feeling of what it would be like to go from their bed to the coffee maker, it's the feeling that draws them to that experience, because they're going to that experience for the feeling. So if the person's actually in that realm beyond space and time, and they become aware of a possibility, of infinite possibilities where that problem doesn't exist, and they can feel the frequency of that thought, they're investing their attention and their energy into a new future, but they're doing that in the present moment. If they do that really, really well, their energy and attention is being invested in that particular experience. Then if they could feel the emotions of what it would feel like with their heart to be in that experience, theoretically they would be in that future in the present moment. If they could draw their body to them with their heart in that nothing and feel their connection to their body should follow their mind to that reality if you train it enough times, just like it follows your mind to the coffee maker. So that's an individual experience of a person creating their own change in personal reality. Now, when it comes to collective networks, the answer is absolutely the same. If you get enough collective networks of observers that can get beyond the constraints of Newtonian physics and three-dimensional reality and classical experience of the nature of how things work in this realm of the predictable, and literally become pure consciousness. If you had a group of people that had a very, very synchronized collective energy, it was resonant, it was orderly, they had a lot of brain and heart coherence, they could literally disinvest all their attention and energy out of that future past present reality into a future present reality. If they could do that properly, if enough people could do that, the the signal that would be created for that collective to be in that future reality would actually be greater. Now, there's free will involved here, and that collective on a daily basis would have to stay unified, just like the flock of birds or the school of fish. They would have to stay connected and collectively do this. Is it possible for them to, in time, actually appear in another dimension or another reality or another universe where the world is absolutely different? That's my hope. It's definitely my hope. What is that number? How does it work? Do people get? Are there people that wind up there involuntarily? What is it? Is it just a voluntary thing? Do you have to be at that level of consciousness? There's all kinds of answers that go from every single day that you do it, you wind up in a small variation of the reality that you're in, and over time you actually evolve into a different reality where everybody's that way, or the majority of people are that way, or just your collective group is resonating in that state. But theoretically, that's the desire here, to create a changing of consciousness collectively, where there's enough of a signal, there's enough of evidence in three-dimensional reality that people become aware of new possibilities that they were unaware of. And when you become aware of new possibilities, you become conscious of those possibilities, and you can't have that thought without a frequency, or you can't have that level of awareness without a change in energy. So the energetic signature of the planet in time could actually change, and if it changes enough, it could change the collective consciousness, and hopefully that's the direction we're going in.
I apologize beforehand for this outro being longer than normal, but it's a deep subject and it's not easy to explain this, and some of it's, I think, is really important to understand, at least to question and to figure out what you believe and what makes sense to you. To answer Samuel's question directly, Dr. Joe said that you can create your own reality, and then the collective, as a group, can create their own reality too if they all stay connected. So then, why do we even need the collective? And why even try to raise the vibration or the frequency of the planet if we can simply raise our own vibration and move into a better dimension? Maybe it's just me, but I couldn't figure out where Dr. Joe answered the question directly. So I'd like to perhaps shed a little light on this. But just as a sidebar point, whenever you get a group together to meditate with a specific intention, it's true that it is usually more powerful than if you did it alone. You've probably heard of how when groups of meditators get together to meditate to create more peace in a city, the crime rate will actually go down. You could say that the meditators are a collective, just as Dr. Joe's community is a collective. And then you could have the larger collective of all humans on planet Earth. Don't get me wrong, groups of like-minded people are powerful. And if the group's vibrational frequency is higher than yours, then it will feel inspiring and uplifting to you. This is why group healing works. But that's not exactly the question that is brought up here. I just wanted to clarify that working together with a group to raise the vibration of the planet may not be very effective because that's not very specific, as compared to a group working to heal someone within the group or even outside of it. Sorry, I know that I am overcomplicating this audio clip, but there are some sidebar major points that I think are very important to understand. Just like Samuel, I had a similar question in my mind when I first got into the law of attraction. I found the best teacher on the planet regarding the law of attraction, Abraham Hicks, back in about 2002. I attended an Abraham Hicks workshop, raised my hand to ask a question, got into the hot seat with 500 people behind me, and I asked the following question, which I think answers Samuel's question fairly directly. But to make the point hit home, I've got to set the scene up a little bit. If you know my background, I was practically born into the Jehovah's Witness religion, and one of the big promises of that religion was that one day we'd all live in a paradise earth, right? So it's the year 2002. I'm new to all this metaphysical stuff, I got chosen to ask a question from the hot seat, and then so I asked Abraham, will there come a time in the future when we all will be able to live in a paradise-like earth where there will be no more wars and everyone will live in peace and security? This is similar to Samuel's question in that he was asking about how to move into an earth dimension where there are no more wars and only peace. Abraham's answer was, you don't need to wait. You already live in that world. You can create that paradise earth now if you want to, if you choose to vibrate in alignment with that reality. Then Abraham went on to explain how many of us still don't get it. You truly do create your own reality, regardless of external conditions and regardless of what is going on in the world. So basically, the answer was that you don't have to wait for others. You don't have to wait for the collective, and you can create the reality that you want now. Some of us think that we are here to save the world from disaster. But if you think the world is broken, which is the trap that I have fallen into many, many times, then you'll stay in that broken earth reality. The truth is that by giving the disastrous events and circumstances on earth too much of your energy, which I have done, all you do is create more of that, more of what you don't want. I know it may sound uncaring and dismissive and not compassionate. It may seem like it's bad to not try to fix the problems of the world. And trust me, I know way too much about all of the bad stuff that goes on in the world. But via the law of attraction, whatever you resist, persists. Whatever you focus on, you create more of it, whether it is good or bad. So if you want to solve war, focus on peace. If you want to solve poverty, focus on abundance. And if you want to raise the vibration of the planet, raise your own vibration first. But don't forget that if you believe and see the world as bad and flawed, if you think the planet's frequency is too low, then you risk staying stuck in that dimension and you may not be able to escape it. It's really that simple. If you like this video, please click the like button. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Our channel's goal is to make it to at least 100,000 subscribers so that we can improve the content and offer you more things. Additionally, if you want to be eligible to win a free ticket to one of Dr. Joe Dispenza's week-long courses, please share this video with 5 of your friends and comment below. Also, we have 2 free group healing classes now. One is on Saturday every other week, and the other one is Sunday every other week. Please check the date and time in the description below, along with how to register for it. If you have any questions, please ask them below and I'll do my best to answer them. Or leave a comment about what you think about this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.